Hey there, welcome back to the Jada Willis experience. I'm usually excited to interview and learn more about the guests that we have, but I'm pretty excited to share this with you. And I think it's because it's going to help so many people. I don't care if you're a leader, I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom. This is a topic that everyone experiences. So, I want to help you make progress while feeling overwhelmed. Listen, if you don't feel overwhelmed at some point, I would like to talk to you because you got a secret sauce that I don't have access to. But when I tell you that it really hit me on Monday, um that I just had this complete utter feeling of overwhelm. And I was tired. I can't seem to focus. I can't think straight. And like tired in a like, I could sleep all day, but I'm still alert kind of way. I felt frozen in just taking any action. And that really makes me feel deflated whenever I feel that overwhelmed. And it actually causes and increases the level of anxiety because you're like, how long am I going to feel this way? How do I fix this? And so I'm an achievement oriented person. I like having goals, having to-do list, making progress. And like even on my to-do list, I'll do a box where a bullet point would be, and I want to check it off and then cross it out. And that just indicates that I love making progress and I love seeing that like tangible progress being made too. So whenever I'm, you know, trying to work towards a goal and I feel like I'm stuck in this overwhelming place, especially when it's self-imposed, it's like a spiral. I'm chasing my tail. I get annoyed with myself, and it's just frustrating. But I also realized that I don't think I've really shared and really broken out my method of getting out of this place, for myself. And so it is, and I usually just actually use this for my clients as well, but it's attacking it from you attack the gators closest to the boat method. All right, I'm going to repeat that. So if you haven't heard about this, and if you haven't heard me talk about this before, I use this a lot with myself and with my clients, but attack the gators closest to the boat. Before I even get into that, I got to tell you that when I am in the middle of that overwhelming storm like I experienced on Monday, I truly cannot think or action plan. And I think that that is the most frustrating part because I am just solution oriented. I don't want to talk about, I sometimes can't even articulate what all I have to do or why do I feel so overwhelmed. But I'll be honest with you, I feel like I completely know that my life has totally changed. I've taken a big step, in my life, and I've moved in with my girlfriend, and I'm, now a soon to be stepmother. In addition to that, I have a house in Charleston now. Don't worry, I still have my house in Columbia. My routines and my patterns are they're just shattered right now because I'm rebuilding, right? Even, I have another dog, and it is truly combining lives. But also I have this new business. I'm about to launch this cohort that's starting. I'm constantly, interviewing and recording. So whether it be traveling for speaking engagements or for actually, fun reasons, in addition to podcast guests, and like the list goes on and on. And by the way, in the midst of this, I started a new 5 a.m. routine schedule and workout schedule and eating right. And can we just continue on this long list? I looked at my to-do list and it's literally a page long. And these are real things. These aren't just like things that I'm creating or making up. And I do have contractors that are, supporting me in this process, and they're doing a great job. But these are just things that are on my list, and some that are external, of change of environment, but some that are also self-imposed. And I don't have to run at the speed of life for my cohort program, and it's actually a really good time. There's a marketing transition, and then there's actually a registration, but there's a lot of moving parts whenever you're creating something. All that to say, Monday, it totally hit me. I was like, holy bones, I am officially overwhelmed by life. And whether it's self-imposed or not, it's real. It's happening. And these are commitments that I've made as well. So the first thing that I have to do is somehow get my brain some space and also increase my emotional capacity, because I'm not at a place where I can even implement the attack the gators closest to the boat method. I'm not at that place. I am anxious. I feel the tenseness of my body. I'm breathing and, either heavy or I'm taking big sighs. Like, I'm just not at that place. And really, even though I have a morning routine that I have prayer time, typically meditation, affirmations, I can even feel that angst whenever I'm talking to God. And that's how I can also tell, I'm like, okay, I need to create some space in my just emotional center as well as in my brain. And so even though I'm craving to take action to solve problems, I know what the right thing to do is. And at this place, and if you are at this place, I urge you to take a break. And that break looks a little bit different depending on what kind of overwhelm this is. So for me on Monday, it was I needed to take a break, and it's like a 30-minute break. Sometimes it actually went into an hour of moving my body, focusing on my breathing, and then also thinking about what I'm grateful for. There are a lot of really good things happening in my life, but it's all change. Like, change, whether, perceived good or bad, that does create an emotional response in your body and also leads to this level of overwhelm. So I wanted to start changing my perspective. I wanted to reprogram my brain and my thinking, which will help me reset my emotional place. Also, if I create some distance between me and what I think is causing me this overwhelm, then it just creates some capacity. I picture this big balloon of air, and you're like letting out some of that air, right? So that it has the opportunity to, if you're going to blow it up a little bit more, it's new air coming in. And that's what I really needed. I needed new air into my balloon. And you may need this too. But whenever I was going through my divorce, I needed a lot more than 30 minutes or an hour. Sometimes you have to evaluate, does your body, and that's your whole body, mind, body, and soul, do you need a day? Do you need to separate yourself? And I know the first thing you're going to say is like, literally, I can't do that. I'm overwhelmed because I have so much going on. I have so much to do. I promise you, if you don't take this time, your body forces you to shut down. It forces you to take the time, and it's not fun. Usually you get sick and you're forced to be at home, take care of yourself, but then you also still have that overwhelm. So nothing's really solved, and it will create larger pockets of time that you are not making the progress that you want to make in your life. So thankfully, in this moment in time, I just needed an hour. I just needed these intermittent pockets of time to release some of that air from my balloon so I can start incorporating some of that new air. And then from there, I kind of continued that thought pattern of what am I grateful for right here, right now, returning to that present moment, and just helping me realize that it's time. It's time to talk about how do we attack the gators closest to the boat. Well, I'm officially able to let some more air in, and that means that I get to think about all of my gators. My gators are, and these are your gators too, but it's every task, every problem that you have to even think about, and that's represented in all the gators surrounding your boat. Like, here's the reality. You cannot reach the island. You cannot reach your destination if you do not start attacking the gators that are right around the edge of your boat. So the gators closest to the boat are the most urgent or pressing issues, or they're the things that will cause the other gators to swim away. So picture this. I'm a very visual person, so I would even draw this out at times, and like name your gator. And sometimes that's writing down even your list of issues and problems. And then even if you have to draw their boat, draw the gators, name your problems, right? What are those gators that are surrounding your boat right now? And then looking out into the sea where you reach this other part, this island that is your goal, that is your destination, whatever that represents for you. But please list out those gators. And I'm gonna give you a real life example of how I've helped a client through this as well, of attacking gators closest to the boat. But I'm telling you, I use this, and probably all of my friends could tell you whether I'm going to say that's a today gator or that's a later gator, because it's prioritizing what can I control today, but also what is the thing that if I actually attack this gator, that it's actually going to cause all the other gators to go away, or at least half of them to go away and to swim away. That means that was like the root issue that I know I need to handle, because it has a domino effect. It's so powerful. I really recommend this method of attacking the gators closest to the boat. All right, so I'm going to give you this example that I've used with a client. So a client reached out to me. It was basically like an urgent call. I need to talk to someone. And this is where they really started opening up and sharing personal information. But basically, they were having a lot of problems with their husband. It just seemed like employee issue after employee issue every day, or it felt like every day. They had no idea. This is all in their frantic rambling to me, but they didn't know how they were going to get new clients, right? How am I going to grow this business? How am I going to even get new clients whenever I have, all these employee issues? I have so much going on in my business. And then even said, I don't even trust myself to make a decision right now. So what I did, I had them take a deep breath. And I said, you know what? We got to attack the gators closest to the boat. And I kind of started asking some other questions, and other questions about what does their day-to-day look like, and what would happen if, those sort of questions. And what we realized quickly is that sometimes the gator closest to the boat is your own emotional and mental health. Sometimes the gator closest to the boat is your own emotional and mental health. So how are you showing up for yourself whenever you have, all these other pressing gators that are really attacking, they're biting at your boat? So sometimes what that means is that you need to create that space to rejuvenate yourself. And I know that sounds cheesy, and it sounds like I'm saying, okay, Jada, self-care is going to solve all my gator problems. Not necessarily, but I am saying that in order to get to the place where you can even prioritize, plan, start even thinking strategically about how to move forward, you got to let some of the air in your balloon out, right? And that may just mean sleep. That may mean you arrange for someone else to take your kids in the morning, or you arrange for someone else to take your kids in the afternoon, or whatever that thing is, and you actually cancel your meetings in the afternoon. You take a walk by the river. You make that spa appointment. I don't care if you get a hotel room just to sleep. You take a break that is very intentional on what you need in that moment, so that you can even get to the place where you can plan, where you can ask yourself those questions, where you can get to the place where you start trusting your thoughts and your decisions. Because otherwise, you won't have the perspective. You'll still be in that place of overwhelm and literally chasing your tail as gators are chasing you. You'd make no progress. And sometimes you can, muscle through, but you're not making the best decisions. You're not making, those strategic moves that are actually going to advance you forward. And you're truly, you're not really showing up and solving your real problems of what's going on with you and your husband, or why is it that these employees are constantly either complaining, or I have to coach them on X, Y, and Z. Okay, so let's reframe it though. What if you do have some of that air, right? And you do have some capacity, but we still take a breath and we look at all your gators. I look at what are the root, like what's the one thing that I can do, attack that I know is going to impact the other gators. So one example would be, and this is just from that situation with the client, if I'm seeing that there are repeated employee issues, I look for themes and patterns. I also look and say, okay, well, do I have the right policy? Have I communicated? What are the expectations that I've set here? Or do we also need a group meeting where we say, hey team, these are our core values. This is what I need from you. This is how you're showing up right now, and this is how I need you to show up next and in the future. Whatever those issues are, maybe if we actually hone in on solving those people problems, then you also task the employee that's assigned to, getting new clients or the marketing piece. You delegate to them. So then it's already starting to impact your next gator that you're worried about that's in the future. It's already attacking the gator that's maybe more closer to the island. And even if from a decision making process, if you feel like you're in a shaky place and you're the leader, you're the business owner, start asking your team, even though you're in the midst of employees, you start asking your team for feedback. Start asking your team for, hey, bring me some examples of what you would do in this situation. Now, please don't use the husband scenario as the situation. I'm not saying to share your personal life, but the work-related matters. So, and I actually think that these are more the symptoms of what's happening. But when you do get to that place, you have the emotional, mental capacity, you'll start seeing some of the perspective. And then honestly, if you are empowering your employees and empowering your employees to focus on future thinking, and you're also addressing whatever employee issues, then your next thing is to plan either that time off so you can do that long weekend with your husband on that, marriage retreat. You attack the thing that's actually going to have a multi-pronged solution approach. Attack the thing that's going to have a multi-pronged solution approach. You will be able to show up better for the people around you whenever you step back and gain some perspective. I look at what are the gators today, right now, that I know are going to make my future self happy. And that's future professional self, future personal self. What is it that I can do today that I know that someone else can actually enhance for tomorrow? And I think of a myriad of things, but there are also things of where if I don't take care of it today, then actually my future self's going to be in a whole lot of trouble. I mean, like as simple as, listen, your mortgage is due by a certain time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You got to pay the mortgage by the deadline, right? If not, there are consequences. So think through and weigh those consequences. If I do not attack this gator today, what are going to be the consequences of tomorrow? How is it going to impact my tomorrow? And then also realize, listen, there's no way to get to all your gators today. That's not realistic. That's why even whenever I'm looking at my to-do list, I look at what are the top 3 things that I can accomplish today. And you can look at them as gators as well, that I know that I absolutely need to, that it's going to impact my tomorrow. And it's also going to make me feel like I made progress. Those are 3 things that I look at in looking at and evaluating my top 3 items that I'm going to attack for the day. So there are structures and solutions to these manic problems that we have. I'm not judging you for having this emotional place. I'm very much, I very much am a human that goes through all of the emotions as well. And I am super critical of myself. I put a great deal of pressure on myself to have all the answers, to solve all the problems. But in reality, sometimes there's just too many gators in the water, and I need to breathe. I need to step back, and I need to apply the method that absolutely works for myself and for a myriad of other leaders. So there are ways in which you can create that forward momentum, and it could just be some small steps, but small steps are better than no steps at all. It is a form of making progress. And in the midst of being overwhelmed, it's okay to be overwhelmed, but I do think there's an action to take. And that action is either taking a break or immediately getting to the gator approach. that will help you in itself of taking that action. And sometimes at the end of the day, when you're doing your reflection, by the way, I am going to bubble, underline, and bold at the end of the day, whenever you're doing a reflection of your day. I hope you're doing this whenever you're thinking about what you're grateful for and what you accomplished, what you could have done differently. When you're having that reflective time, I think you appreciate the fact that even if it was, you know what, I took the day off, I took a break so I could work on, my mental and emotional sanity, that should be rewarded. Sometimes we have to be operating a high level of self-awareness to know it's time to take a break. And I know that that's going to let me be a better, stronger me tomorrow. You should commend yourself for that. And of course, I get to the end of the day and I'm like, man, I didn't do all I wanted to do. I didn't accomplish all I wanted. But you know what? Let's focus on the things that you did do. And when you carry that momentum into tomorrow, that momentum builds. Think about, again, that domino effect. Sometimes, maybe it's one domino, but at the end of the day, it's going to be that whole stack. It's going to be that whole stack of dominoes if you keep on inch by inch attacking the gators closest to the boat. Eventually, there aren't any more gators until you reach that island. Now, listen, I want to be realistic and say there's always going to be gators because we're going to put new gators in place, right? We're going to have new goals, new objectives, new programs that we're rolling out, new initiatives, and sometimes other people impose these gators by divorce, breakups, fights, things of that nature. But when you have a centered core of who you are, and you can then at least assess, what do I need to do in this moment? And that's going to give me better perspective of what are the gators closest to the boat. And it's an everyday evaluation. It's not something that you can just do for the week, for the month, and just be like, okay, those are my gators. Nope. It's a constant reevaluation of the gators closest to the boat. I don't even care if you think that I am so crazy for talking about gators closest to the boat, but it resonates with me. I guess I do that visual mental image of, really like what's kind of like biting at my boat. What do I need to attack? Because it's kind of like the pressure. It's that feeling of, if I don't do this, kind of angst. And I don't know, it just works for me. It's worked for so many of my clients. And guess what? I don't feel overwhelmed today. I don't feel overwhelmed. It's just, 2 days later and I am feeling clear. I feel that I'm making a great deal of progress, and I really have reprioritized my list so that I feel like I know with clarity what I'm working on today and what I need to accomplish. So I know the gators, and I don't know, it just feels like the gators stop snapping whenever you look them in the face and you say, I know what to do with you. It's almost your time. So I guess I should wish you happy gator hunting. And if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments about this, I really want you to comment below. I want you to tell me all about your gator hunting. What are the practices that you use? And then if you actually have never heard about this before and then you start implementing this, I want to hear about it. We have so much more in store for you here at the Jada Willis Experience. We have some awesome guests coming up as well, but I'm really excited about May 15th. May 15th, we open enrollment and registration for the first ever Rising Leaders cohort. There's more information to come, but May 15th, mark your calendars. We're going to be sending it to all of those folks on our email list, blasting it all over social. But if you want to sign up for our email list, you want to supercharge your inbox, I promise you it's all good content. That's my promise to you. I want you to go to jadawillis.com and you can subscribe. You'll see it on the menu. You subscribe and man, you're about to change your life. All right, that's all for today. Happy gator hunting. Can't wait to hear about it.